All right, all right, all right. We are rocking and rolling. We are cooking with gas. We've got people streaming in. Danny Traffic Man, Johnny A, what's up? Oh, yeah. Today is Thursday, July 24th, 2025, according to the internets. And I believe them. I have no reason not to. Ooh, all right. It's humid, which one would expect during the summer in the Northeast. So I'm moist from the humidity. Oh my God, live goals already been taken care of. Traffic Man, you're a beast. Thank you so much. Let me be a glutton and ask for more. Let's see. Let's go with chili peppers. All right, there we go. So I'm going to bring up a couple of the regulars, get the party started. Inviting Danny up, inviting Traffic Man up. There we go. Hey, Danny, how you doing?
Pretty good, Professor. How you doing?
I am happy to be alive another day. How about you, Traffic Man? What's up?
You know, another beautiful day in paradise.
That's right. See, now, I get a sense that you're being sarcastic right now.
Well, that's okay.
See, when I say it though, when I say another day in paradise or another beautiful day in paradise, I actually mean it. I mean it. I Jesus, you did the other goal too? Man, you're wild. You're a wild man.
No, it was me. I
No,
did
that was
Oh.
that
Danny.
one.
No,
Oh,
no,
that was
yes,
Danny. There you
yes,
go.
that was
Sorry, I
Danny.
didn't scroll down and see
Yeah,
that. You both are wild. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll let
Well,
that
you're
sit for a
greedy. We
minute.
want you to have a third shot at it.
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go full glutton.
Is it my fat belly and face that give away my greed?
No, it's your big heart. That's what we
Ah,
label
thank
you.
you.
Exactly.
So I have a topic today. And I didn't take enough antihistamine, so my eyes are watering a little bit. But my topic is it's called Liar Liar. That's tonight's theme, tonight's title for this live. And for those who don't know me, hello. I am Yoddah, spelled Yoddah, because film studios are litigious. And I decided to trot out one of my favorite mics. I did some narration earlier today, and I decided to keep it for the live show. This is the By Fei Lee version 7 for all you gearheads out there. So here's my idea for the topic. So just 8 quick factoids, or maybe facts, if you will. So number 1, files will be released. Lie. Number 2, Ukraine-Russia conflict ended on day 1. Lie. It's actually gotten worse. 90 deals in 90 days. Lie. There have been 4 in like 130 days or something, or 180 days, whatever it is. Israeli hostages all returned. Lie. I will not start any new conflicts. Lie. We will only expel the criminals. Lie. Prices will be down. Lie. And factories will come back to America. Lie, 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 lie. All lies. So, since we know from his first term, we're looking at over 30,000 lies. It amazed me that anybody still believes him, but like at this point, Danny, how does anyone justify the idea that this guy is telling the truth about anything?
Well, you know him probably better than anybody being from New York and living in that area around him for decades. Uh, have you ever known him tell the truth about anything?
No.
Then I rest my case.
Yeah, by the way, there was a point in his career, well documented, where he pretended to be his own publicist. He would call
Yes.
radio stations pretending to be someone else on behalf of himself.
Yeah.
That's
I
weird,
remember
man.
that.
I mean, I can't knock the hustle, but that's weird shit.
You're right.
But obviously, we're not here to convince me. I already know he's a liar. But like, how does anyone ignore these things? What is the mechanism by which someone can hear this outrageous avalanche of lies for 10 years now and still be like, oh no, he said he's going to do it, so he's going to do it?
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead, traffic man. I said something. You go ahead now.
Sorry, Danny. No, I was just gonna say failure in the education system and not giving people critical thinking skills.
Sure, that's a big part of it. I agree with that. But do you have to be a critical thinker at this point?
No, but common sense would help.
Yes, sir. Um,
Brian Chambers, proving our point, he says, it's called Democrats.
the Democrats.
Oh yeah, yeah. What
Thank
about
you,
Brian?
thank you, Brian, for proving everything we're saying. You MAGA hat propaganda parrot.
What about Obama? But no, see,
Hillary's
I really
emails.
think, yeah, right, lock her up. I think the important thing here with all this is the simple fact that um, these people have very short attention spans,
Like Brian,
and
right?
correct, correct. And I think the combination of the short attention span, the inability to recognize patterns, like these are things that are taught at a very young age, and I feel that most of
Well,
these
pattern
people were
recognition
not
doesn't
given this
even have to
opportunity.
be taught. Stephen is joining us. I'm going to invite Brian up because let's see if he's not a bot. Hey, Stephen, how you doing?
Oh, I'm just dandy.
Excellent, excellent.
Gay,
So
fat, and happy, really.
there you go. I'm 2 out of those 3. So
Steven, did you have a good birthday?
Yo, I had a great birthday, but I won't get into it too much.
That's
all
okay.
right.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, listen, you don't want to self-incriminate. So I've invited Brian Chambers up. I doubt he'll actually come up, but I'm willing to talk to these knuckleheads. It's I find it entertainment. Niner says your boy, which he spelled BOI because he's trying to be down. Your boy Obama is getting ready to get some charges. Stop hating and deal with your president. Your president already was convicted, you donut.
Can we
Talking
talk
the
about the
dumbest
grammatical
shit.
errors?
Just talking about the dumbest shit. Like, okay, Niner, I'm going to give you a chance to sound less dumb by talking. Well, of course, I'm tricking you, but come on up. I'm inviting you up to keep pivoting to Obama when we're talking about Dump. Keep trying to accuse Obama of the things that Dump has already been convicted of. Sure, that makes perfect sense, right? Keep talking about made-up indictments when there's dozens of real indictments still waiting for Donnie Dump when he's done, if he lives through his presidency.
He did continue on to say, "I am down, son."
Whatever.
So whatever that means.
Ben, well, he's trying to act like he's not who he is. Ben says we do need to teach more critical thinking. Well, here's the thing, Ben. I agree with you. However, that's not in the best interests of the people that are running things. They don't want an informed electorate. They don't want intelligent citizens capable of critical thinking. And this is not an original idea of mine. I'm parodying George Carlin from 35 years ago.
Oh, yes, you are.
You know, this is America is designed from the top down. All this we the people shit is propaganda. Okay? The fact
Delusion.
is that the school system is designed to create worker bees more than anything else. Okay? And that's what we get. We get worker bees that are busy working, can't take any time to read articles. If they do read anything, they likely don't understand it. And they get their news from Fucker Carlson and the rest of those idiots. That's why they
I
believe the
came
things that they believe. What were you going to say, Danny?
No, this guy says I grew up in North Trenton. I came out on top. On top of what?
I mean, okay, good for you if that's true. Whatever that means. So you grew up in North Trenton, you came out on top. Great. What does that have to do with what we're talking about, though?
I think he's trying to relate that to the school system.
Oh, Bruce says, "Oh, I am desert. I get you." Oh, Bruce. So Bruce is a minority that supports dumps. So what do we think of that, Danny?
Voting against his own self-interest. That's for
That's
damn
right.
sure.
That's right. He's a self-hating minority. He aligns
Yep.
with his oppressor. Excellent. Hey, Cynthia from Texas. Now, I think I read yesterday that you are formerly Tucker Makes. Is that correct? So, yeah, Niners. I grew up in Trenton and came out on top. Yeah. Okay.
On top of Trenton, New Jersey. Yay.
Yeah. Trenton, New Jersey is the asshole of a shitty state.
I'm glad
The only
you
thing
figured out
worse than
who
the only
was
thing worse than Trenton is maybe Camden.
Yeah.
You know, because Newark used to be the schmurder capital of New Jersey, but now Camden is. Hey, OG nerd, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Didn't take enough antihistamines, and my eyes are watering a little bit, but that is squarely a first world problem. So I can't even complain about it. Okay, so Cynthia from Texas is Tucker Makes. Okay, good. So
Did you ever hear the history about how the United States became the number one in allergies?
no, but it wouldn't surprise me that it has mostly to do with the pollutants in the air.
No. Well, sort of. When we enlisted horticulturists to go across the country to all of our top cities to make the city landscapes beautiful, they didn't want to plant female trees because they fruit. So they planted all male trees which pollinate. And therefore, we have an excise amount of male trees across the United States that are not native to the United States, making us allergic.
You know, the interesting thing about human beings is that we have a phenomenal track record of manipulating nature, more so than any other species ever known. And we also have misses, right? More wins, way more wins than misses. But the misses are pretty interesting. It's like back in the early 1900s, I want to say around 1910 or so, there was this concerted effort to get rid of, I believe wolves. Because wolves were only in the Southwest. It was only a tiny region, right? And humans decided, you know what? It's open season on wolves. Just get rid of them. They poach our farms. They do whatever annoying destruction that we don't like. And what they didn't realize is that when wolves are howling at night, they're not just howling to make sound. It's a roll call. And when they see that their numbers are diminishing, the females reproduce at an accelerated rate. And now, long story short, wolves are in all 48 contiguous states.
I do the same thing, by the way.
Howl at the moon? Yeah.
Reproduce at an accelerated rate.
Nice. Yeah, I stopped at one. I had one son. I thought I was going to have more children, but it didn't work out for me. And I quit while I was ahead. He looks like he was carved out of Mount Olympus, and he's fiercely intelligent. Women have no natural defenses against him. So he's living a lush life.
Mazel.
Yeah, well, his mother is 5'9" and beautiful. I'm okay looking and pretty
You're a good-looking
pretty
guy.
smart
What are you talking
and
about?
pretty
You're a
smart.
good-looking
Yeah,
guy.
and that's fine, And so he's got decent genes, but I'm more impressed with who he is as a person. He just turned 40 in May, and I don't see how that's possible or reasonable. I don't feel like I'm qualified to have a 40-year-old son, but here it is. This is where we're at.
And I just turned 36.
There you go. Somebody had to.
Bunch of kids. I'm telling
Yeah.
you. Jesus.
I'm 40.
So
I got a
so Niner
36.
so Niner is still squawking. Let's see. Did I invite Niner up? I'm going to invite you up again. And
Hey, Steve.
then if you don't accept up, I'm going to put a sock in your mouth and send you to bed.
I got a 38-year-old grandson, Steve. You're a kid.
Yeah, it's all relative. And,
Yeah, I know.
Whatever it is. So,
I'll take it.
so Niner's not coming up still. You got just a few more seconds to accept.
A lot of texters.
No, I didn't. There's Clay did not have a child as a teenager.
Neither did I. My son was born 20 days after my 21st birthday and 9 months and 28 days after the day I got married. I throw that in
Oh
because
my
people
God.
assume it was a shotgun wedding, but it wasn't.
I never had a kid, but it didn't stop me from trying.
There you go. Sometimes you just have to practice until you get it right.
Yeah, right.
Niner said
Niner
he
says
tried.
he was a Marine.
He tried both
Oh.
times, but now he's gone. He's blocked.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I just can't deal with dummies. I don't mind. I see the thing that's funny is I have an easier time dealing with dummies talking to them than the dumb things that they write. Because when I read the dumb things that they write, I feel like my brains are leaking out of my head. It's like they're typing with their elbows. Say again? Oh yeah.
On that keyboard.
Oh yeah. Listen, I get that all the time with dudes calling me the N-word, and I'm like, that's hilarious, dude, because I know there's no chance on earth that you would say that to my face. And the only reason I'm confident in saying that is because it never fucking happens. I'm around a lot of
I do
white
have
T
something-
folks, and I know I'm around a lot of racists too. They never say that shit to me. I have too much of a resting bitch face for people to think it's a good idea to say that shit to my face.
I grew up gay in the 90s. Say something like that to me and watch what happens.
Exactly. By the way,
my father's-
I haven't told this story in a while, and then we'll get to you, Traffic Man.
Yes, sir.
So in 1990, I got a job at Louis Boston, which was a premier clothing store in New York City. In fact, it only had peers. You couldn't get better than a store like Louis Boston. Bergdorf Goodman was their main competition, and they actually wound up driving them out of New York because Bergdorf Goodman did everything but a reach around when you walked into their store. Like they gave you everything. They gave you a cell phone. They gave you water. They gave you all sorts of shit. Like Perrier, they just really fluffed you up while you were in their store. And Louis was close, but not quite the same. But again, as far as the level of quality, you literally couldn't go anywhere in the world and get better clothes than what was at this place. Anyway, that's all beside the point. The point of this story is that Louis was like 75% rainbow community. And I think they hired me because I looked the part. I was very thin, very good looking, very coiffed to within an inch of my life. And so I think they assumed that I was part of the community. And when they hired me, there was this one guy named Brian who took a liking to me. And I'm always flattered when anybody thinks I'm attractive, so fine with me, right? But there was a homophobe in the employment there. He was a stock guy, and one day I had a perfect storm opportunity. The stock guy, who was phobic, and Brian, who took a liking to me, were in the break room at the same time when I walked in. So I decided to torture the stock guy. And I said, let me ask you a question and be honest with me. For $1 million, would you let a dude blast you in the ass? Right? And I asked him that because I knew exactly how he was going to react. And he was like, oh my God, no, that's disgusting. How could you even ask me that? I was like, come on, man. $1 million, cold, hard cash on the barrel. No worries. You could pay for whatever hospital stay or therapy that you needed to afterwards. Come on, man. $1 million? $1 million? He's like, no way. I'd never do that. I'm not. I said, not only would I take the money, but he could do it in Macy's window at high noon. I don't give a fuck. And Brian, without skipping a nanosecond, said, I'll start saving now. Can you imagine that? That was 25 years ago, and I remember it vividly because it was one of the funniest fucking things I ever heard in my life.
Oh man,
God, that's awesome.
Traffic man, fire away, brother.
I wish Niner was still here because I had something that my father taught me from his years of experience in the Navy, and that was on the daily. You know, being in the Navy, they would eat lots of seafood, and they would shit out marine life. So that was my little story. I wish Niner here was here for that, but
Oh my God.
And chances are that marine life that got shat out was smarter than Niner.
I haven't heard that in 40 years. You said that, traffic man. That's how long ago
That's
I remember
awesome.
hearing that. Oh
well,
my God.
sir, I will say, Danny, my father is about your age, so
I had never
About
heard that.
57?
I really never heard that. A Navy recruiter told a Marine recruiter that 40 years ago. I'll never forget that when he said that to him.
Well, the whole reason I even knew that was like a thing was one of my best friends for at least 15 years of my life now. He was a U.S. Marine. You know, he served, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And I remember the one day he came over for like a family thing because you know he's that close to us that I invite him over for family stuff. And he and my dad were going back and forth because the whole Marines and the Navy and all that stuff. And my dad, you know, just belted that one out, and like everybody at the family reunion almost fell off their chairs. It was hilarious.
We have to assume that on those ships there were a lot of seamen swallowing semen.
The other good one is 100 sailors went on the submarine and 50 couples came off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
exactly. Yep.
I got to tell you, this is one of those areas where, you know, as much as I have nothing but disdain for war, I have to celebrate warriors because a submarine has got to be one of the most horrifying experiences. And to be under on these nuclear subs that are like 3 months, they can stay under. That's just wild.
It's so BDSM.
Yeah. Yeah, and probably S&M too. But yeah, so anyway, the topic is liar liar because it seems like Dump is decompensating in front of our eyes, and he's really losing. I mean, physically, he's clearly in trouble because
Oh, I mean,
you
those
know,
ankles are saying uncle.
yeah. I mean, he's in bad shape. And of course, I celebrate that because I want nothing but bad things to happen to him. But mentally, he's suffering. He's been really having problems for, I would say, at least 5 or 6 years now, and they've only exacerbated over the last year. The when he makes public appearances and he's speaking off script, it's a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
The guy is like, whatever he tries to say, it just comes out gibberish, and
Well,
Joe Biden deserved all the criticism that he got for his gaffes, but these are 10 times worse and 10 times more often.
I mean, just today, we saw it in real time when he was standing with the chair of the Fed, and he
Right.
started talking about and the Fed. I forget the gentleman's name, but like immediately
Powell.
when he started spouting, yes, yeah, thank you. He was just like shaking his head, like, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
And then Trump pulls out that paper from his jacket and says, "No, look, this is the way it is, right?" And the guy is looking at it and he's like, "No, you're including stuff that was built 5 years ago. What do you mean?"
Right.
You know,
It's too bad that he's trying to get rid of FEMA when those two ankles look like his own personal twin towers.
The
I
Twin
could expand on
Towers
that,
were
but we're not
made
going to do that because.
were made much more sturdy, that's for sure. But I saw them being built. That's how old I am. But so yeah, I mean, he I mean, when you're at the point when you're saying the most obvious and easily fact-checked lies, like what Obama did in 2016, like we have endless video of this. We have endless reports on this. Like what he's accusing Obama of is just not a thing. This is not a thing. This is vapor. It's all, and of course it just coincided with the day that, Epi's brother came out and said what he said. So Mark Epstein is talking a lot of shit and throwing the administration thoroughly under the bus.
Well, and we just, what was it? The Wall Street Journal just released that report that back in May, Pam Bondi told the president that, listen, you're in these files,
Right.
and we need to
Which of
we
course
need
he
to
already
figure this
knew.
out. Right, like yeah, that
He
was no
knows.
surprise,
He knows
but
he's in the files. Hey, listen,
but like
is it any coincidence that Epstein got arrested when Dump was president the first time, and that
no,
somehow, some way, that no record exists of Epstein leaving this earth? There's 10 hours of footage with 3 minutes missing, but pay no attention to the facts, folks. What are we dealing
pay
with
no
here?
attention to the man behind the curtain. Absolutely.
I'm sure he
Nothing to
appears
see
in
here.
files like Kramer on Seinfeld. Just busting through.
It amazes me. I mean, and the only thing, if possible, more amazing than the abject stupidity of his blatant, ridiculous lies is the fact that people believe him.
Yes.
I mean, that's just cognitive dissonance at that point.
Among many other things. I mean, you just, like this guy who came on earlier. Oops. Oh, I disconnected you by accident, Danny. I meant to just mute your mic. Please come back on. Yeah, let me invite you up. So this this guy that was talking earlier, Niner, whatever that dumbass's name was,
Yes.
and like,
Yep.
the fact that he was like, "Oh, your boy Obama's about to get charges," is like, yeah, you can charge people. That's not hard. It's not hard to charge anybody of anything. But the problem is, one day lawyers are going to have to produce evidence. And when the judge says, "What's your evidence?" and the lawyers have one piece of paper and Obama has a truckload of video and studies and reports from the intelligence agencies, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yep.
So if they even get to the point where they bring the guy up on real charge, because in order for him to be up on charges, I believe a grand jury would have to indict him. Where are you going to find where are you going to find those people that you can present no evidence to that are going to indict the man unanimously?
The South.
Is it possible? Is it possible? Anything's possible, but is it likely? I don't think so.
They're talking about Lady Lindsay and Cornyn want to get a special counsel for investigating Barack Obama.
Which is so ridiculous because they actually don't need to, because it's already been investigated, right? Like if it needed to be investigated further, that would require like a special counsel. But appointing a special counsel now is just passing the buck at this point. What they want to do is bide themselves time. That's why they're bringing up the special counsel statute. Because right now, they could vote and have that stuff discharged within the next 30 days. Donald Trump could do it right now. But they don't want to do that. So they're doing everything that they can to bide themselves time. We don't need a special counsel. Just release the investigation files. Just do it. Especially because they keep saying he's innocent, then the files will exonerate him.
Sure.
And you know, and honestly, I really feel that this goes back to the 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner. It has nothing else to do with anything. It's the fact that President Obama played that little gaffe on Trump, that because he was there and he said, "Look, here's footage of my birth," and then they played The Lion King, and Trump was so embarrassed. And I really mean this. I feel that ever since that day in 2011, he has been absolutely bent on getting revenge on this man, no matter what.
Yeah, and the thing is that Dump had the last laugh regarding that, because one of the things Obama said to him is that you'll never have my job, and so he proved you wrong.
Twice.
Right. That was that reading mean tweets on Jimmy Kimmel. He read the well, unfortunately, the now president's tweet about, and then he looked at the camera and said, "Well, you'll never be the president." And
you guys, I'll be right back.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we're suffering from that now.
Well, I mean, we're suffering not just from one man's desire, obviously. We're suffering because 77 million people are too dumb to understand what's good for them.
Right.
Go ahead, OG Nerd.
Trump admitted as much. He posted on Lie Social that a video or a meme or something that said the moment that launched a presidency or something to that effect. And it was the moment that Barack Obama humiliated him at the Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah. And if I were Dump, I would be posting that too, because he showed him up. He showed Obama up.
I will say one thing with the current administration that was kind of an eye-opening moment for me was Stephen Miller. I've seen the videos of him talking about certain things on the school bus and all that stuff. And then because when he was 17 and all this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden somebody mentioned the fact that this man said these things in 2001, and I was like, wait a minute. And I had to look it up because I thought Stephen Miller was like in his 50s or something, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this and I'm like, Stephen Miller is younger than me, and he has the opinions that this man had. What? It blew my mind to find out that this man, who is in charge of all of these horrendous policies as far as immigration is concerned right now, is younger than myself. It's confusing, to say the least.
What does his age have to do with his beliefs?
Well, no, it wasn't necessarily his age versus his beliefs. It was I just envisioned this man as being older than myself, kind of a thing. And to find out that he was younger, or he was younger than myself, it was confusing, I guess.
I used to think everybody on television was older than me, and then I was surprised a couple times. Like I am 3 days older than Stephen Colbert.
Okay.
3 days older than him. Brad Pitt is only like 5.5 months older than me, and we don't even look like the same species.
And well, and I will tell you, there have been many TV shows, movies, whatever, where my wife and I have a good laugh because the characters in the show are supposed to be somewhat around our age, and we feel that we look a lot younger than they do, but they're supposed to be, in their 40s, and it's kind of like, ooh. But I don't. I guess to your question about what does his age have to do with anything, um, I don't know. I just feel that like people in my generation would have more of a empathetic view on the world, and
No,
I know,
that's just
that
the thing
that's
people say. There's just no
right.
truth to it. I
Yes,
mean, we hear MAGA hats talking all the time that are in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, etc.,
well,
and they're all saying the same shit. So,
Caroline Levitt's a good, yeah, yeah,
the sad truth is that America's a very regressive country. Like to give you an example of a progressive country, Germany, right? Germany went
mhm,
through their horror in World War II, and they had, the introspection to say, yeah, we don't want to do this anymore. We don't want to be this way anymore. And you can question their motivation if you want to. I don't think it's relevant. Whatever motivated them to change, they did, and they became a very progressive country. Where
right,
America has gone the other way. America's response to civil rights is what you're seeing right now. America's
right.
response to women being able to open up their own bank account, which only happened 51 years ago,
I would say, what was that,
is
1973?
74, I think, yeah, around there.
So okay,
So
yeah. There
there
you
were a
go.
few that happened at the same time, like bank accounts, mortgages, that kind of things. So credit cards, they were all like within a few years of each other in the mid 70s. And it's like, and people still resent that.
Right.
And not just men. I hear women talking about that too. I've heard women say that women shouldn't be president.
I don't. When it comes to that, I don't understand why somebody's gender has anything to do with their ability to um, have any official capacity. That infuriates me, and
Of course
because
it
I mean,
doesn't, but the
yeah,
what shapes that belief, right? Because after you look at the belief and decide whether it has merit or not, then the question is what shaped this belief? And that belief
right,
is obviously religiously based.
yes, no, you are correct, absolutely.
And speaking of religiously based, WKRP, how you doing tonight? Are you there?
Doing all right, man. How are you, yo?
Hey, I'm good. Your phone is breaking up a lot, but
Can
I
you
know
hear me?
you
Can you
got
hear me?
shitty reception. I can kind of hear you, but we've come to expect this. You're in a bad area
Can you
for
hear me
cell
better now?
service. I can hear you a little bit better. How you doing tonight?
I'm
All
excited
right.
for WKRP to take over all the winnings on Danny's live tomorrow. The Trivial Pursuit.
Well, there is one way that will happen, and that's if I don't show up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if nobody else shows up. Yes.
Well, that's mean.
By
Saying if
God, I
nobody
can't
shows
believe
up
you
is
said
just
that.
mean.
You two are bad. I can't believe you ran WKRP off, too.
No, I figured give him a chance to get in a better area and then come back up.
Oh, okay.
I
You're
dropped
in a
him
better
down.
area. You'd have
So
to go
yeah,
to another
WKRP. Whenever you got a better connection or whatever, come back up.
state. He'd have to leave the state to find a better area.
Oh man, WKRP. If I was you, I wouldn't take that shit from Danny. Frankly, I just think that's awful.
Well, listen, God, he's from Alabama, okay? The capital of
Oh,
Dumfuckistan.
But he
I
is
didn't
an
realize
exception,
this
though.
was-
He's a standout. He's an upstanding citizen. Anyway, I have a new live
My
goal up:
speaker
100
was
hard
on,
puffs. Feel free to have at it for anyone in here. We got 23 people in here. I haven't been reminding you to tap, so we've been lagging behind, but that's okay. I'm in a lazy kind of mood tonight.
I'm telling them to tap, so you're good to go. I got it working
All
in the
right.
chat.
Teaching all nations says Alabama here. Excellent. So WKRP says my speakerphone was on. I don't know what that means, but okay. So look, if you have a good connection now, feel free to come back up, buddy. Always happy to have you.
Either that or turn that Trump phone in and get another phone, okay?
God, I didn't realize this was going to be Danny Uncensored this evening. Jeez.
You haven't been paying attention.
Apparently not.
My favorite thing that Danny does is when some soldier, either active or former military, is a lower rank than him, and Danny just bulldozes the guy.
That's awesome.
I love that. He's like, I'm gonna pull rank here. And you know what? I meant to ask you, Danny. This is one of these things that keeps slipping my mind, so I'm glad I remembered it. I know one of the nicknames that people in the military call you is Top. Now, does that derive from the fact that you are at the top of your rank, or is there another thing that I'm not seeing?
No, in the unit, the first sergeant was considered the top kick of the unit, so that's why the nickname said he's the highest ranking person in that headquarters unit.
Gotcha.
The officer obviously is ahead of him, but
Right.
But of enlisted man, there is nobody higher than me in the enlisted unit.
Right. So they are showing you respect by referring to you as Top. That's good stuff.
Correct.
That's good stuff. I can't bring myself to do it because it has a homoerotic what am I trying to say?
I understand exactly what you're trying to say.
Connotation. That's the word I was looking for.
I'm glad that we got that cleared up.
Yeah, because I grew up in an era where when you met a male couple, one of the questions was who was top. Who was top, who was bottom. So that always stuck in my head.
In my case, I didn't care who was on top or who was on the bottom. It was all good to me.
That's right.
Oh God.
That reminds me of one of my very favorite things that I ever heard Norm Macdonald say. I loved his mind. I thought Norm Macdonald was one of the most brilliant comedians ever in American history. And he had a completely different way of processing humor than anybody else did. But he was on Dennis Miller's talk show, which was on cable. This is going back to like the late 80s, early 90s, right? And Norm is talking about some woman he encountered, and he was like, we got together and I fucked her, and he's and Miller goes, well, don't you mean you made love to her? He goes, I don't care what you call it, as long as it involves my dirty cock.
Jesus. Oh, Norm
Yeah.
Macdonald absolutely was a treasure. No, he really was.
Absolutely brilliant. His talk show on cable, that was on podcast on YouTube was fucking hilarious. He just had a mind that could run circles around very intelligent people. Like he just in a conversation, in a battle of wits with him, he was just unstoppable.
Absolutely.
And he didn't tell even his closest friends that he had cancer. When he passed, everybody was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And people were like, "I didn't know. Why didn't you? You know?" Then they turned to another friend. "Why didn't you tell us?" "I didn't know either." Like nobody knew. He kept it to himself.
Yep.
I don't
Well,
know.
I
There's something
mean,
about that.
I guess I kind of get it, but I don't know. I will say this. Unfortunately, today we lost a great jazz legend, Chuck Mangione.
And
Um,
Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
well,
another treasure piece of shit.
I was just gonna say, the Iron Sheik is jumping off the high rope right now, giving him the business
I'm
in
hoping
well
so.
wherever they are.
Chuck Mangione's "Feel So Good" album is the first jazz album I ever bought.
you know, the whole reason I even know that Chuck Mangione exists is because of
Friends.
the King of the Hill.
Oh, it
Well, no,
wasn't.
no, King of the
Oh,
Hill.
okay. I didn't know
Yes,
King of the Hill.
yes,
I know
he.
Friends did. Joey and his neighbor across in the next building. Every morning they would sing "Morning's here, morning is here."
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the melody of "Feels So Good."
Yes, yes. Well, there was an episode, I want to say it was like season 3 or so of King of the Hill, where Megalomart had featured Chuck Mangione, where he was kind of like living in the Megalomart, and Hank had to kind of figure it out, all this. Hank and Dale had to go in there. This whole thing. But so then from there, and we're talking like late 90s, early 2000s, and I started looking because at that time LimeWire was a thing, and I started looking up who Chuck Mangione was, and I have to tell you, like, just his musical ability, the music that he put out, man, it was so good.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, if you listen to that whole album, I mean, even that song
Hmm.
is his drummer, because I played drums. I taught myself when I was 14, and I played for a few years. I used to try to learn his drum pieces, and they were complex, and he
Hmm.
did them flawlessly. But the whole everything, all of the arrangements, the fact that the centerpiece of his band was him playing the flugelhorn, and nobody had
Right.
ever even heard of it in America before then, unless you were
Right.
an
Right.
aficionado of classical music. But yeah, he just made impeccable music. And the first time I bought his album, it was on cassette. And then once I wore out the cassette years later, it was probably, I don't know, 10 years later, I bought the CD. And I knew that album intimately because I used to play it every day while I was trying to play the drums to it. And when I bought the CD, I literally heard stuff that I had never heard before. It was so all these people that are like, vinyl is the best. I'm like, shut the fuck up. It's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
scientifically not even true. You could say you
Vinyl.
like
Vinyl does
vinyl.
not.
If
Sure.
you say you like the sound of vinyl, I mean, I'll question your taste because it's like, really, you like pops, cracks, and warps? I don't get that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
fine, you can say you like vinyl, but if you say vinyl is better than CD, you are out of your fucking mind.
Vinyl does not have the capability of high fidelity that the compact disc ever could.
Yeah,
I really,
just
for real.
more information, and it's preserved longer because there's no physical contact. you know, with
Yes.
with the surface. It's light. Like, I mean, look, I don't understand how any of this shit works. I don't even understand how my light switch works. But you know, I'm glad somebody figured it out. So
I will tell you, I do have a certain appreciation for vinyl when it comes to music. But it like my go-to obviously is either, I mean, obviously MP3, MP4, that or CD. Yeah,
yeah,
anything, you
MP3s.
know.
They're just slightly better than cassettes. Hey Zaza, how you doing?
Well, you
Good evening, Yoda. This is my backup if you want to follow it. I'm
Cool.
banned till tomorrow, so
All right,
You bad girl, you.
that
yeah.
happens.
I
banana.
know. How dare I? How dare I
So,
speak ill will of our
how you
lovely
feeling this
president?
evening?
Um, sad. Um, Another, God, what's his face? Jimmy or someone. One of the singers is on death's row, or I'm sorry, on alivement's row as we speak.
I think the saying
So
is
he's in
that store,
hospice or
but yes,
something.
I
Death's
don't know which
door.
one
Yeah,
you're
I know.
referring
Yeah,
to.
yeah. He's a I forgot his name.
Anybody know
He's an
who
oh,
she's referring to?
yeah,
I do not.
Hmm.
yeah. Hold on, let me look it up.
What
Real quick while
genre?
you're, well, I'm sorry, OG nerd. Sorry, go ahead. What was that?
I asked her what genre.
Mhm. I will say this real quick. There was a creator on this app that shared a video, or that put a video up, and it was Hulk Hogan going to the gates of St. Peter and all that. And it says as he arrives into heaven, right? And then all of a sudden you hear, "Oh yeah, the Hulkster is here." And it just goes into this whole compilation of like of Macho Man Randy Savage, and I was like, oh, oh no,
Trust me, he
oh
wasn't
goodness,
welcome there, so you don't have to worry about him going there. I will
no,
guarantee
he
you that.
wasn't there. No, yes, sir, Danny, you are correct. He was not welcome there.
No.
Well, you went ahead and accidentally reminded me of my favorite joke of all time.
Yes.
It's an Easter joke. I usually only tell it around Easter, but there's no rules here, so fuck it. Three men go to three men are in a car accident. They pass away. They go to the gates of heaven. And God says, I'll let you in if you can answer this one question correctly. And the question is, what is the meaning of Easter? The first guy says, oh, isn't that the fat guy in a red suit that brings presents for everybody? God says, no, sorry, you can't get in. Second guy says, Easter, there's a bunny that gives candy to children and stuff. Eggs are involved somehow. He goes, no, that's not it either, sorry. The last guy goes, oh, I know Easter. It's a very, very serious Catholic holiday. It's the one where Jesus Christ gets crucified, passes away, gets buried in a cave, big rock rolled in front of the cave, cover the entrance. 3 days later, he comes back to life, pushes that big rock out of the way, goes outside, sees a shadow, and runs back inside. And God says, close enough.
So real quick, I would like to add this, since I brought up Macho Man Randy Savage. He unfortunately left us on May 20th, 2011. That was the day that, I don't remember what the preacher's name was, but he had predicted that that day was going to be the day of tribulation. Okay, obviously it did not. Yeah, I know. Yoda, your facial expressions, yes, but that was the day that allegedly, all that crap was going to happen. And I was on an airplane. I was on an airplane on my way to Wilmington, North Carolina, and I remember getting this photo from my brother because remember that was the day that it was supposed to end. Well, unfortunately, Macho Man Randy Savage also left us on that same day, and my brother sent me this photo here. I don't know how well. Oh, it's not going to zoom in, but basically, it's Macho Man Randy Savage off the high rope, you know, stopping, inevitably stopping the tribulation from happening. And I will tell you that I will never forget where I was on that day because there was a woman in front of me who had her Holy Bible with her. We were coming into a landing approach to Wilmington, and she was freaking out because it was supposed to be at like 5 p.m. that evening and all this stuff, and we're in the air and it's like 4:58, and she looked at her husband and said, "What happens if the pilots are what's the word I'm looking for? Transcended into heaven, kind of a thing, as part of the tribulation." And my one of my best friends goes over the seat and says, "I guess we're going to land sooner than we thought." And
Hmm.
this woman freaked the hell out, and I couldn't keep myself from just busting up laughing.
That's a great answer. That's the best answer I could think of. That's great. Rev says that Phil Collins is now in hospice. Yeah, he's been sick a long time. There's a live performance
Yes, that's what I was talking
of
about.
In
Phil
the
Collins,
Air
he's in
tonight.
hospice.
Um, it is breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. So he spends the whole song walking around the stage and slowly walking upstairs, right? Then he gets to his platform, and then suddenly the drum set comes up out of the floor, and he sits down literally a second before.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean the whole song, because this is a very old song, and so now recording technology is much better than it was. So when you hear this, the sonic quality of this performance, it's absolutely stunning. Just look for In the Air Tonight live. You'll find it. It's so good. And that song was what was two things. Number one, it was the result of a dream, and it had a lot to do with his ex-wife. But what I love about that song is that everybody that hears it tells their own story in their head about the meaning of the song. So it's just brilliant.
And if nobody knows, the son from the Cosby Show, Theo,
Yeah,
was
he went
Yes.
unalived
also.
as well.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
when I heard that news, I thought, yeah, absolutely. I thought maybe there was a medical condition, something like
No,
that.
he drowned
And
in an accident.
No.
And Malcolm
yes,
Jamal
Yeah.
Warner is the name of the guy.
yes, there
Yes.
that he
I
got
just didn't
pulled out in the
remember.
rib
I never
current.
remember his last name. I always know his first name, but his last name I never remember it.
Yeah, and I mean, like it was kind of more devastating to me as somebody who grew up with that gentleman
That
on the
show. Yep.
television. Well, and not just the Cosby Show, but like he was in many different shows.
Oh yeah, he was in many different
It's
shows.
yeah, and it
He was
and
in the. I think he was in a medical show.
yep.
Um.
But it's just yeah, it's kind of it kind of at this point it kind of feels like losing a distant family member, if you will.
Father
Right.
You
Time
know,
is undefeated.
no,
Right.
absolutely he is.
And
Yeah,
Robin Williams
Ozzy
is
was
still
a
my
rough
greatest
one.
lost.
Of course, I
Yes,
didn't
Yeah.
know him or
Yeah.
anything, but just, literally hearing his music my entire life.
yes,
The fact, like,
Right.
I
Yep.
thought about that. Like, I tend to write these short obituaries when celebrities that mean something to me pass. And one of the things I thought of was like, imagine you form a band with your buddies when you're like teenagers in the late 60s, and not only do you go on to define an entire music genre or help define it. You are
Right.
world famous, and songs that you wrote 50 plus years ago are still being played on the radio today. And what I also
Yes.
love is he went out like a fucking G. He
Yes,
did
he
a
did.
final
Oh,
concert
right.
in
He really
Birmingham
did. Yes.
and brought the house down. And that was the
Yep.
first time Black Sabbath had played together in over 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I will say
Yeah.
this, and what was her name? Lita Ford. Okay, one of my favorite songs was the Ozzy and Lita Ford
Yeah, Close Your Eyes
oh my
Forever.
God, Close Your Eyes Forever. Yes, yes, thank you. That has to be one of my favorite songs
My
from
buddies from
him,
high school did a
because
duet with her on that song. I have this. We weren't close friends, but we went to high school together, and I'm still connected with him on Facebook.
sure.
His band used to open up for Joan Jett, and so he's like got a lot of celebrity connections, and now he's a photographer, and he has a huge list of celebrity clients, and he did a book with Priscilla Presley called Shades of Elvis, where all these
Okay.
different celebrities, including Michael Madsen, put on Elvis's actual sunglasses and had him photograph him, and there's a book of it that he put out called Shades of Elvis. So yeah,
Shades of Elvis. Listen, I'm going to add it to my list.
he's an extraordinarily talented dude. I mean, he can sing. He still sings. He does duets with celebrities all the time. The bassist from Player. Those I don't. Some of you might be too young, but the song "Baby Come Back" is from Player,
Yep.
and the bassist from
Uh-huh.
Player hangs out in his backyard and films music videos with him that he posts on Facebook. Isai
That's
Morales,
awesome.
the actor that was just in, a bunch of the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible films, he stops by and sings duets with him. It's wild.
That's so awesome.
And he has a duet with Lita Ford.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think their duet was Close Your Eyes Forever.
Yes. And I will tell you, to so my uncle and I, we haven't talked in like 5 years. There was a lot of things that we differed on with C19, and there was other family things that had been coming up and everything. And I the night that I found out that Ozzy had passed, um, that was kind of like the music that my uncle had introduced me to. You know, and I hate to associate Ozzy Osbourne with like 80s music, because I know that's not exactly what his genre was, but like the
But he
hard
was
rock
big in
thing.
the 80s too.
Right, right. And my uncle had a lot of influence in me when it comes to uh music.
I think
You know,
Bark at
like
the Moon
my
came out in the 80s. Hold on. Go ahead. Keep going.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. But uh, when I found out about his passing, it affected me personally to the point where I was like, screw this. I'm done with this BS family nonsense where we're not talking to these people, because we're getting to a point in my age. I'm getting to a point where my parents, my aunts and uncles, stuff like that, they're getting to that age where, any day past today is a gift kind of thing. And I reached out to him, and
Yep.
fantastically enough, he basically reciprocated my feelings back to me, where he was in the same boat, where he was like, "Hey, listen, I didn't really know how to communicate back to you, because I know there's issues and blah blah blah." And I told him, I said, I remember when I was a little kid in like 1990, we went to a McDonald's, and his Firebird that he had, his 89 Firebird, was broken to where he would have to turn the headlights on and off multiple times for both of the headlights to finally come up, because they were the flip up headlights. So he turned them on initially,
Hmm.
one would come up, and then he'd have to turn them off, turn them back on, and just kind of jiggle the switch till they both came up. But like I remember this one time we were at this McDonald's, and there were some young ladies walking out, and he kept doing that, and they laughed at him. But Ozzy Osbourne was playing on the radio while this was happening, and it was one of those moments where that's the connection between my uncle and myself is music. That's one of the connections we have is music, and hearing that Ozzy's no longer with us kind of made me go, you know what, fuck this shit. I don't give a shit at this point. I'm gonna call him, and everything seems to be turning out for the best at this point. So,
Good. Yeah.
thank you, Ozzy, I guess.
Yeah. I don't talk to anyone in my family except for my uncle and a few of his children. And that's not going to change anytime soon.
Ow.
Yeah, my family is, my brothers are all Trumpers.
That's got to be
So,
rough.
it is. Well, the one brother, I'm not sure. I just assume because, um, he stopped talking to me because I married a black man, so.
Yeah, well, that'll do it. I mean, if you're racist, obviously that's going to be an issue for you, right? So,
That's right.
my mother hated my first wife. My first wife was black, and you know what? I'm pretty sure she still is.
My mother had to adjust. But then after she adjusted, she was so happy I was married because he was my first and last husband.
Mm.
She was so happy I was married. She was in a nursing home at the time, recovering from a hip surgery. She was dragging him down the hall, introducing him to everybody. This is my son-in-law. So
That's not unusual. It happens all the time. That's why racists very often say, "Well, I can't be racist. I have a black friend." And it's like,
right,
yeah, yeah. No, those two things can coexist. I mean, I used to have people telling me when I was a teenager, I was the lone pepper in a sea of salt. I was moved to a YT neighborhood against my will, and I used to have my friends saying stuff like, these fucking N words. Well, not you, dude. And it's like, you're insulting me too. Like they just didn't get. But people, like I've never met a racist that claimed to be a racist. Right? It's always like, well, not me, because like they have these criteria in their head for what a racist is. And if they're not, stringing people up on trees, then they think they can't be a racist. But it's like, yeah,
right,
that's one expression of, obviously the most severe expression of racism, but, there are many, many, many others. And it always makes me laugh when people are like, oh no, this one person proves that, no, that one person
right,
is the exception to
exactly.
the rule. Like I
No
had,
one
when
is
I
born.
married my second ex-wife, there was a member of her family that never spoke to me. I didn't have any beef with him, so obviously he didn't speak to me because he was a racist. You were going to say, Zaza?
No one is born racist, but you can be born privileged. That's the part that they don't understand. And they don't see that they were born privileged because they're blinded by their skin tone.
Privilege is a tricky one because what people associate the word privilege to is financial privilege. They don't realize that there's many
Exactly.
other privileges. as well.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, and
Yes.
and one of the reasons that it's hard for people to connect to privilege is because it's hard to see what doesn't happen to you, right? So they're like, well, I have to work hard for my money, and I'm not privileged. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have to worry when a police officer pulls you over that this could be the last few minutes of your life. And it's
Absolutely.
something, and I don't fault people for not understanding this, because again, how do you count what you can't see? You know what I mean? So I've had to educate people, so and just to let them know, like, no, this is what you think privilege is only one version of privilege. I can explain to you other versions of privilege, like not having to teach your teenage son how not to have his life ended if a police officer pulls him over. It's a horrible conversation
Right.
that we have to have with our children. And if you don't have to have that, that's an aspect of privilege. And it doesn't make you a bad person. I wish when people would talk about this, when minorities would talk to white T folks, and not that it's our job to educate you, but if you're going to have that conversation, stop talking about it as if they're bad people because of their privilege. You didn't choose your privilege, you just have it, you know. And so
Right.
have the
Exactly.
conversation intelligently so that people can connect to what privilege really looks like.
I think it comes from a point of frustration when they talk to people, because you have the conversation so much and it's on loop, um, because people just don't seem to. You can say it over and over and they just don't get it.
Yeah. Well, it's defensive because it's a defensive response because again, I think people have the conversation in inefficient ways and non-productive ways. You know, I have the luxury of having been a professional communicator since 1984. So when I see that there is a chasm in understanding, and that the chasm is based not on anybody's intelligence or anybody's intention, but just because the conversation is inadequate, then that's when I can step in and go, okay, let's take a look at this from another direction, from another angle, and maybe this will help. Like that's why I talk about being pulled over, because that's a universal experience. If you have a driver license and you've been driving, let's say at least 10 years, it's almost certain that you will have been pulled over at least once. So people can connect to that experience. And then that's when I can tell them, here's the difference between me and you in that experience. And that's when they start to understand it, because I'm not making it about them and their inefficiency or their inability to understand things. I'm just letting them know, yeah, there's something that you've never had to think about, and it has nothing to do with you as a decent person. It's just the circumstance of your life.
I um I experienced through my husband watching him get pulled over the difference of how he was treated versus me being pulled over. Um, and he wasn't pulled over. It was we were going through an accident, and he was a truck driver, and we had to get to Wichita, and we were in Tulsa, and the road was blocked. And um, he was asking the police officer that was directing traffic which way to go. And the police officer called him every name in the book threatened to pull him out of the truck, arrest him, and just for asking a question. And I had never experienced that
Yeah,
with the police officer.
of course. Yeah, I mean, your husband broke the cardinal rule of being an N-word on a sunny day.
Yeah.
I will tell you, OG nerd. There have been a few times in my life that I have been pulled over by the police. And two of those times I was mistaken for somebody who's not YT. The first time, there was an incident in my town. They were looking for a certain person, you know, and because the automobile that I was driving at the time, which was a 1985 Pontiac Parisian, if anybody remembers those beautiful, massive B-body cars from General Motors, fantastic. However, I was pulled over by my local township police, and I was met with pew pews, like they, stick your hands out the window, open the door, get out of the car, like all these kind of things. And I was, my thinking was, I had done some modifications to the car. I didn't have my speedometer cable hooked up, so my thinking was maybe I was speeding, but it didn't make sense. And the minute that I stuck my hands out the window, they were like, oh, never, hold on, guys, hold on. He's not who we're looking for. And I was like, who are you looking for? And they were like, you don't match the description of who we're looking for. And I looked at him and I was like, you couldn't have told that by my license plate. Like, there was a conversation that we had, and the township officer, I was like, you have, obviously my plates are good, you have my information somewhere in a system. You couldn't tell that I wasn't, who you were looking for. And they were like, well, we just assumed you were a different, that you had a lot more melanin
Let
in your
me let
skin,
me let me
you
show
know.
you where your privilege in this story comes up. The fact that
Please.
you were even asking the officer that question.
Correct. No, correct. No, you're absolutely right. We just saw here recently in Florida, there was a 22-year-old young man who was pulled over for not having his fucking headlights on, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
And here's the
come on.
thing. He was pulled over for a legitimate reason. Okay?
Sure,
It was cloudy out, it had been raining, all that shit. I get that, right? But
sure.
when I saw the news conference with who I presume is the chief of police or someone high ranking, the guy was
Right.
basically trying to say he got what was coming to him
What?
because he was
Correct.
resisting.
Correct.
And it's like he was sitting there with his hands up and someone clocked him in the face. That's
Yes.
they
I
savaged this guy. When they pulled him out of that car, they swarmed on this guy because he was guilty
well,
of DWB. You might not be
correct.
familiar with that legal
Yes.
statute for some of
Driving
you in
while
the
Now I
black.
know
yeah
that.
No,
yeah for the
but
folks in
but
the
that's the
audience that's
thing.
driving while black.
He did, even before he was pulled out of the car, when they smashed the window, he got one across the face.
That's what I'm saying. He was sitting there with
Yeah,
his
exactly.
hands up, and the guy popped the window for no reason. There was no reason to smash that guy's
Correct.
window. All right, and then
110%.
once he did that, because you got to realize that before he did that, before he smashed the window, he already was keyed up. His adrenaline was already pumped
Yes.
up, right? Because not to get too deep into the conversation, but the way police in America are trained makes them terrified every minute of every day. They are trained
100%.
to be afraid of everyone and everything. They are trained that every encounter with a civilian might result in their loss of life. There's no reason to train them this way. Police in other countries don't have the kind of outcomes and encounters that Americans do. This is a uniquely American thing. There's even a guy who is a consultant to police officers or to police stations. He travels the country doing lectures. His lecture is called Killology.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
very
this
familiar
guy
with what you're talking
and
about.
this guy is another piece of the puzzle of people constantly making police afraid of every encounter they have with citizens. Because let's face it, it's not called police or law pretty please. It's called law enforcement. All right?
Yes.
And the police started as slave patrol. That was the first version of police. And they were always there to protect the wealthy. Right? And they take this person. Well, I said I wasn't going to get too deep into it. I was wrong. So anyway, they take this person who's just an average person, and in some cases can be way below average, especially mentally and emotionally. But for the most part, they're looking for average, regular people. And they are training that person for a few weeks. I think at the most it's like 6 weeks that they get training, which, by the way, is less training than you need to be a hairdresser. And that's not a joke.
Yep.
And you are telling this person that has less training and less certifications than a hairdresser that you have the full power of the state behind you, and just in case, we're going to give you a lethal weapon. And you are allowed to use it for any and all reasons. You get to be judge, jury, and executioner and have that much control over someone's life. And if that wasn't ridiculous enough, we're going to make you terrified of everyone you come across. This is a fucking recipe for disaster.
Yep. You're
So,
absolutely
Can I
correct.
add to that?
I want to, Yoda, I want to throw something in. I don't know that you saw the entire video. I don't know where you came in.
Hold
on the
on.
video.
Before you go, OG Nerd
Okay.
was waiting to speak, so go ahead.
Okay.
You said that they make them terrified of everyone. But I think that it's unequal. I think that
Of
they
course,
make
they're
them,
especially terrified of brown people. That's obvious.
yes, they make them especially.
Well, the police as a system doesn't have to put any extra effort into that part. That's America. So that component's already there before they get the power of the state in their hands.
Even in their training, though, like those in the training courses that they take, if you look at like those maneuver things that they have where they have to go in and those I don't know what you call them, those people pop out,
Yeah, the pop-up
the
targets.
the pop-up targets, the villains are black.
Sometimes, yeah. But again, that's what I mean by that's the foundation that America already sets. Right? So it's not like they're doing anything extra. They're just doing what America does. So go ahead,
True.
Compy Bear. What were you saying?
So I don't know if you saw the entire video.
I
And
did.
the reason I'm there, did you see the part where the cop initially pulls him over? The guy goes to get out of the car. The cop says to him several times, "Please get back in the car."
Mm-hmm.
He refuses to get back in the car.
No, he didn't, because he got back in the car.
He did eventually, but he was
So
arguing
then
with.
saying that he refused to get back in the car is inaccurate.
Well, he said he refused to get back.
He didn't, but he
wasn't
didn't
gonna get back
he
in the
didn't
car.
refuse to get back in the car. He got in the car.
He argued with the police
I don't
officer.
care that he argued. He got back in the car. So if you're going to tell the story, go ahead and tell it right.
Then he got back into the car.
Again, he got
he-
back into the car, which means that he didn't refuse to get back in the car.
He was told to roll down the window. He refused.
Mm-hmm.
He asked for a supervisor. He was asked again to roll down his window. I'm not saying that the supervisor, which was different from the original cop that pulled him over, or whoever it was that punched the window, was not the original cop that pulled him over. Should not have, one, broken the window, and two, punched the guy. I'm hoping it wasn't a supervisor that actually did that, because that would have been ridiculous.
The supervisor was never called.
There was no supervisor on scene.
When he was originally pulled over, there was only one car that pulled him over.
I understand, but the supervisor never showed up. He did ask for the supervisor. The supervisor was never called because 30 seconds after he asked for the supervisor, he was getting punched in the face after his window was broken.
I'm not disagreeing that wasn't wrong. I was just asking if you had seen the whole video with the original.
And I said I had. And okay, so
And
what was the
I'm
point?
sorry.
What was the point of bringing all that information up?
Because as far as I'm concerned, he should not have gotten out of his car. He shouldn't have argued with the police officer. He should have just stayed in his car.
If he had only complied, like Philando Castillo complied and got his life ended for him. So is that the thinking? If he had only complied, he would have been fine.
Stayed in his car. If he had not gotten out when the police officer pulled him over, if he did not continue to argue with the police officer,
so I'm going to drop you down now because you're infuriating me with this hunk of bullshit that you're saying. Okay? I am so fucking tired of this line of thinking. If he had only complied, if he had only done what the officer said, fucking horseshit. The next fucking white person that says that to me is going to have a fucking problem with me. Stop saying that bullshit. It isn't fucking true. There are hundreds of examples of people complying and doing everything the officer said and still winding up 6 feet under. So everybody that thinks that can just go fuck themselves. Okay, someone else wants to come up. Gator Vet. Anybody know Gator Vet?
Nope. But he's been commenting.
Gator Vet.
He thinks you're wrong.
Gator Vet. What am I wrong about?
Were you there?
Bye. Okay. As if being there is the only way to know what happened.
Right, even though
I don't give a fuck what he thinks.
You know, I've seen plenty of pullovers where the person gets out of the car and goes and talks to the officer.
Of course, we've all seen it. This line of thinking,
right?
And just so everybody knows, I've blocked CompuBear. I can't deal with that kind of shit. I am not putting up with that from anybody. I don't give a fuck who you are.
Understandable.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're 100% correct.
Gamer Goth, how you doing? What was that?
Hi, OG. I'm doing all right.
Okay, I can barely hear you. If you could get closer to the mic, it might help.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you perfectly. How you doing?
Yes.
Oh, I'm doing okay, I guess. I just got done getting my ears pierced.
Excellent. Anything else on your mind?
I mean, speaking of someone who was deported, the United States is a shell of its former self.
How so?
I mean, essentially, the United States has basically just rolled over and accepted fascism.
I agree.
Not all of us, but yeah.
But a good majority of them.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
it's not a majority. The thing is that it doesn't require a majority. Fascist governments are almost never in the majority, but I agree with what you're saying in spirit.
Hmm.
It requires
We're
complacency, I
terrified.
think.
Well, I mean, that you do know about what's happening in our Arkansas and other states about
Yeah, they're
the YT only cities, or well, like
and the white
communities.
supremacist fight clubs that are popping up all over the world too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't
it's
talk about
absolutely
that.
Well,
gross.
obviously they didn't pay attention to the number one rule of Fight Club because we know about it.
Yeah, right.
Right?
So, Gamer Goth, anything else?
Yeah, to whoever voted for Donald Trump, thank you for getting me deported back to Ireland. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for screwing me out of a job I've had for 4 years.
That's insane. Very unfortunate.
It
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And, oh, Gamer Goth left.
He
Oh,
said, "Yep." Gamer
all right.
got left.
All right.
what's so I guess what's infuriating to me is, as somebody who embraces the age that we live in, with there's video everywhere, there's different angles, all that stuff. And I guess what's infuriating is the topic, I guess, kind of that we're on with the 22-year-old down in Florida, is that it doesn't seem to affect the policing. How many times have we seen where young African American males are immediately looked on as threats? And there's footage of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Something that affects me kind of personally is just 15 minutes away from me. There was a young, I think he was 13, 14, whatever, Tamir Rice, that was playing in the playground, and obviously had a fake pew pew in his possession. He was playing with his friends, and it still bothers me to this day to watch the body cam footage of these officers. Like literally, the car hadn't even stopped. They threw it in park, and it was still beating against the parking paw of that piece of shit transmission that Ford has. Sorry, and the car was still moving, and these officers got out and removed him from this earth because of who they saw. And the part that
Yep.
pisses me off, and Yoda, I apologize if I might get emotional in this, but I'm I'm with you. I'm so tired of hearing the goddamn bullshit of just comply. That's not a thing. That has never been a thing. This is not something that this isn't something that people other than this goes back to that Peter Griffin meme where the officer looks at him and it says, it's got the different melanin levels and it says okay and not okay, right? This is reality for millions of Americans in this country, and any type of governmental um, regulation or any type of intervention that the government may have to say, like, well, we need to better train our officers, we need to have, whatever it is met with this just absolutely God, I hate to say racist, but that's what it is. It's just met with this level of racism of, well, forget all that stuff because, if you just listen to the officer's orders, you'll be fine. That's not reality. It
No,
isn't,
it
and it never has
absolutely is
been.
not. And
And
and to say it is would be a lie.
And just
I,
so
I mean,
everybody
we're talking.
knows, I just want to, not that I need to, but I want to set the record straight. It wasn't just what CompuBear said while she was up. after I dropped her, she wrote, "Take the ticket, argue in court." So that was the last straw for
Yep.
me. It's like I don't know what it takes for people to all agree that the sun rises in the east. I don't know what it takes to prove that the earth is round and travels around the sun.
And to
But if
even
you
have
don't
the
fucking get
privilege to
it by
argue it in
now,
court.
if you don't get what has happened to minorities in America by now, I'm fucking done talking to you.
You're not going to get it.
I am happy
Yep.
to shed light on my perspective on things. I'm happy to have these conversations. You know, I don't think it's my responsibility, but I'm happy to educate people when I can. But the conversation has to start at the same level where we start the conversation about the sun rising in the east. If we can't agree on the basic facts, I'm not fucking talking to you. I'm done with all that shit.
I'm gonna right. I'm gonna give an instant of if she was still here. I was in the car with my sister, ex sister in law at the moment, and her skin is darker than mine, even though I am Puerto Rican. And I was sitting in the back seat, and her family was with us, and she gets we're pulled over because she's trying to switch spots with my ex mother-in-law because she didn't want to drive anymore. She was tired, and we were in Nebraska, and a cop literally pulls behind us and tells her to get her driver's license. So she opens the door back up and is reaching inside, and he literally pulls a weapon out, a gun, and tells her to stop moving or he will pew pew, even though he literally told her to get her license. This
I
is what
got
we are
you.
talking about. This
Absolutely.
is the kind of right. This is the.
We have another
Go ahead, Yoda.
guest,
Love's welcome
Mo
there.
E. Love. How you doing?
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I believe this is the first time that you have appeared on my live.
Yes, sir. And I like I said, now I've been on your, I've never appeared on your live before, but I've listened in a lot of times.
I
I love
appreciate
your
that.
content.
Thank you.
I love
Thank
your
you.
content,
Well,
and
welcome to the panel. I appreciate that you're here. What's on your mind?
you sometimes, my mother always told me, man, you got to listen sometimes to get understanding. So, like I said, with the young lady, I just want to let her go and finish her story, and then I'll come back if that's okay with you. Let her finish what she was saying.
Oh no
I,
no no! I'm
Because
done.
I
I
didn't want to
mean, the
interrupt her.
story ended okay, and in the end, but like no one was pew pewed. But the fact that it could happen is very very real, and in that moment, your heart is racing. You don't know what's gonna happen, and you know it's very traumatic. Even as the person who experienced it, but I wasn't the one experiencing it. You know, it was done to her, even though I saw it happen.
Okay,
And we're
so
all yelling, "Don't shoot! Don't!" Well, I'm sorry,
so
"Don't pew pew! Don't pew pew!" You know.
so let me kind of interrupt you on this. So what the host is trying to say, this is something that we've experienced our entire life since you experienced it when you from a friend perspective at I don't know how
Oh
age you
yeah,
are.
no.
We've experienced this from a life perspective since we were probably like maybe just looking at your brother, I don't know, 10, 12 years old. We were taught
Yeah,
that, hey,
exactly.
you can't speak to this person. You can't do this. You can't do that. And listen, don't get me wrong, and I do not want to try to justify you or make it seem like or ostracize you, whatever like that. I'm just telling you can never identify what it means to be a BLK woman or white I mean or a BLK woman. Trust me.
Oh, absolutely not. And
No
I don't
scenario
intend
that
to.
there's no scenario, and I'm not saying you're trying to. I'm just saying that there's no scenario you can put into the perspective that what we go through every day, and still go through every day. But without a doubt, you have the opportunity. You have the opportunity that you just had that one time scenario happen to you, just that one time. But this is an everyday scenario for us. So for us to identify, it's kind of different, and that's what I'm saying. Not knocking you, not saying you're wrong. Just in the
No.
third, I'm just trying to say it's just that hey, hey OG, I see you because you know how I rock with you, old Jenner at the bottom.
Hey there.
Yeah,
How you
yeah,
doing, my love?
you're my girl for real. I rock with you all day long, but so I'm just
And
saying
I
that
realize, no,
it
I
just
definitely realize that privilege, and that's why I advocate for. I've been to Black Lives Matter protests, and I'm not in any way trying
nah
to
nah, okay, I
up
get you. I get
myself,
that. Okay, I get you. Listen, the whole
but
Black Lives Matter that was
like I
that was.
had,
Okay, wait.
right.
Do me a favor. Let
I'm
the
sorry.
man
I'm sorry.
finish
I'm
saying
sorry.
what he's saying, and then without interruption, without throwing in whatever thing you think you need to throw in, let's just let him finish.
Yeah. So even with
Double
like
piece.
Black Lives Matter, that was just a movement that happened because of George Floyd the snip, but it shouldn't have to come to that. We shouldn't have a Black Lives Matter. It shouldn't be a Black Lives Matter or White Lives Matter, this and the third. The fact that we still live in a country to where that a black man or a black woman has a fear to walk down the street or just get in a taxi cab or just go and get groceries, opportunity, something can happen to them, and now it has to make the news because someone of another race did this and the third. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I
That's
agree.
all I'm saying.
Oh no,
Now
no, no. I
I
agree.
understand what you I
Absolutely.
understand what you talking about that, but you as a white T woman, you would
I'm not
never.
YT.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
present YT, but I'm not YT.
Thank you for the
I'm
paper
actually
crane,
Latina,
cowbell.
but thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry to call you out like that, but I'm
Oh
saying,
no, girl,
eh,
no, it's
but
okay.
as a BLT
I'm
woman,
very
or
pale looking and I have blue eyes, so I pass. I understand that as a person who has very pale skin, I have way more um privilege than I do like my aunt who is very dark. My dad just happens to be lighter skin with red hair. Yeah, that's just how he was born. I can't help it. But like whenever like that's not the first time I've witnessed this. I've witnessed this on many occasions. I was just giving an instance when I was an adult, where a pew pew was drawn.
you
Now
see, when you were
when I was
adult,
with
I thought you were adult right now.
I'm an older adult. I'm like a grown person. Like this is when I was like 20. I'm 40 now. But there have been other instances. I was just mentioning one. But you're absolutely correct. Like none of this should be happening. Like it's against our 14th Amendment. I have been a very advocate of this ever since I was young. This is not the only time I've stood up for it. I'm something I'm passionate about. I think every single person needs to be treated exactly the same. It doesn't matter your race, religion, gender, anything like that. That's what civil rights are for, and that's what I stand for.
But we don't have the option. Yes, we can vote on our civil rights, this and that, and we're for our civil rights, but we don't have that
Mm-hmm.
option. We can't just sit around and say, "Oh wow, let it come back to us," this and that. And that's why, like I said, that's why we have these panels. When my brother, like I said,
Yep.
hey, Yada, I've been following you for a minute, man. Matter of fact, I need to follow you uh some more. But we need panels out here to put things out because everything you said, it sounds good and it feels good because it sounds good because we're talking right there. But at the end of the day, trust me, and this is how I feel. At the end of the day, you're always going to fall back on your privilege. Because if they drop the atom bomb right now, let's say if they put a nuclear bomb right now and the world came to an end, we all went into our caves and we came back out. And everybody had come back out. I guarantee bet you White people will automatically feel like they still are superior to everything. But you can't build anything because you took everything. You gave everything that you got. You was taken from you. You took something from everything. That's what you take. You take. You take. You never build. You never build. Everybody builds behind you. And I'm not saying you, and I don't want to accuse you of this. And I'm sorry, and I want to do it, but I'm gonna just keep it a real buck. YT race is not a race.
It is not.
Black BLK race. There's not. Listen, we're not a race. We're an origin. We
Well,
are our origin,
hmm
and that's the difference. What you need to understand. YT is a race.
yes.
BLK, we're not BLK. We are origin. We have been indigenous to this earth with it within this earth.
Well, let's not forget the reason why you're known as BL, like, black. They don't know. They didn't keep
Nah,
records of where your ancestors were taken from.
we ain't
So
worried about
Well,
that. We
you
ain't worried
don't
about
know
that.
your
Well,
We,
history,
that
which is
that's
we,
not
we,
that's
I mean,
terrible.
we
actually
know our
not the
history.
real reason. That's a true
Oh, okay.
thing that exists, but
Well, thank
the
you for.
reason is steeped in racism. There were no people that ever described themselves as YT until they exploited
Right.
people of color.
Yes.
Right.
That's
right.
what it's a response
Yep.
to. It was a an us versus them paradigm that was created, and it was also a reductive because now you're like, if you notice when people generally speak about themselves, they'll identify with countries. They'll say,
Hmm.
I'm Italian,
Right.
I'm German, I'm Austrian, I'm British, but that was an attempt to dehumanize us by
Hmm.
not by identifying us from as by our origins, but just the superficiality of our
That.
color.
Yeah. Yes.
So what he's saying is that we didn't come up with the colorism and the racism, whatever like that. It's something that you guys have always developed. Just look at through
Hmm
history. This is something that you developed your entire life, even when you was in England. Now, if we really want to break it down, now keep in mind coming over here, you see, you sit over here, Columbus, y'all discovered America like that. You took the poorest of the poorest, the worst of the worst, the most
That's who came
heinous
over
of
here.
the heinous,
Exactly.
the Jack the
Yep.
Rippers, the Alpha Dodgers. They even got movies about Annie and all that stuff. These were the robbers, the stealers, the beggars, the poorers, the ones in England. They looked down upon you guys. Those are when you put in the ships. And now you brought you over here to. Now you want to discover America, as you say, stumbling on Columbus Rock, Columbus Day, what it was called, Columbus, whatever like that. Now everybody taught you how to survive, and all you did was ever just steal. There was no listen, and I hate to say this, there is no race whatsoever than that gene that y'all got on us. It's a disease gene for real. AIDS. Anything comes to disease, the black plague, the flu, measles, mumps, all those things all those things your author describes about, you brought it over here.
I still have conspiracy theories about the AIDS epidemic. I have conspiracy
Yeah,
theories that our
let's not get
government
into
didn't.
that because that's the
We,
kind of thing TikTok shuts
Hmm
down.
I know.
yeah, you're right.
So
I
so
I'm sorry.
let's
know.
just say this, and
I'm
we'll
sorry.
we'll begin
AID.
Yep.
wrapping up afterwards. But the original people that came to America from England, it was a mixed bag. It wasn't all one thing or all another, because you had to have the aristocracy, the people that were smart enough and wealthy enough to start the country to begin with. And of course, they imported the dregs because they needed a labor force, and, what they sold them on was a lot of different things, the
Yes,
tax
sir.
angle, the opportunity angle, the freedom of religion angle. and it was just, it was just a bunch of dudes that, had a
Hmm.
beef with the king, rightfully so, because the king was a pain in the ass. And they saw that obviously they couldn't just come here by themselves because who was going to do the work?
Right,
So they
exactly.
they
Yes,
brought
sir.
the
Yes,
people
sir.
that did the work, and then those people were like, well, we don't really want to do the work. Let's exploit the people that are here, and when we figure out that there's not enough of them here, let's go take them from somewhere else. And of course, that's
Yes,
a
sir.
gross oversimplification, but that's the bare bones of how America began. So
Right, right, exactly,
I
exactly.
really appreciate, Mo, that you stopped in and had a conversation with us. I appreciate that you followed me. Feel free to come back anytime. And for
That's that.
tonight, I will say have a
Yeah,
great night.
Yoda's
We'll talk
great.
to you soon. Thank you so
I
much.
got you, my
Appreciate that.
guy.
All
Definitely.
right.
I love the conversation.
Thank you. And let's see. Next is Zaza. Last thoughts. Final thoughts for the evening, Zaza.
Well, for one, racial profiling is against our Constitution, yet it is still done. I believe everyone who gets racially profiled should sue the government, or at least who attempted to arrest them, because it is a thing. It is still a thing, and it's not going to stop being a thing until we say it. We till we do what Donald Trump, unfortunately, what Donald Trump does, just sue the fudge out of him. But I get it. That's a privilege too. So it's like there's this huge conundrum. I don't know what else to do about it. Besides fight.
Well,
Continue
look,
to voice my opinion.
the dominant race is in charge of the
Mm-hmm.
rules, right? And I mean dominant only really economically and militarily, but you know, this idea that it's going to change, I think, of course, it's possible, but I think what's more likely than anything else is that the only way to change it is going to be a new species, because
Yeah.
this is like you
Yeah.
cite the Constitution rightfully, but the problem is the Constitution has nothing to do with how people feel, right?
I know.
So like, yeah, the laws are there. They've been there from the beginning, basically, right? And still, like, you can say, I mean, Bruce Hornsby sang this in the song "That's Just the Way It Is." A law don't change another's mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the sad reality of it. We can make all the laws we want. It ain't gonna change how people feel,
Yeah.
And if people don't change how they feel, then this paradigm is never going to change. And of
Right.
course, I hope to be
Which
wrong
is why.
about that, but I just don't see any evidence of that right now.
Right. And holding our law enforcement to a higher, you know, morality, that's just
Well,
impossible to
that whole
do.
system has to be just reconstituted because, and this is again where the Dems go wrong. Calling it
Mm-hmm.
defunding police was just bad branding.
We need a refund, like
What we
put
need to
in
do is
funding
reorganize
for.
the police, right? Like
Yes.
let's model EMTs, right? When EMTs show
Right.
up, they don't have the kind of outcomes that happen when the police show up.
Right.
And there's a reason for
But
that,
we're
and there's
supposed to
many reasons for that.
assess.
And a lot of a
Right.
lot of the reasons are foundational. Like EMTs from the bottom up have a different reason for showing up, right? So if you take that sensibility and place it elsewhere, you'll get the same results. Like, stop terrifying police officers. Stop training them that the public is their enemy. Stop making them afraid that every encounter is going to end in their demise. Because you can't tell me that doesn't affect people. You get into the academy 18, 20 years old, and you're being told every day that everywhere you go, that could be the end of you. That's a fucked up way to orient yourself to the world. So,
Well,
and the excuse
here's
that
hoping.
it's a, there's a few bad apples. No, the barrel is bad.
Yes. Yeah.
And when people
Yep. The
say
whole barrel.
that it's only a few bad apples, they don't realize that they're defeating their own argument. Because what they're trying to say is that It's a minority of people that are doing the wrong things, but that's not what that saying says. They're saying the first half of the saying, a few bad apples. The rest of the saying is spoils the whole bunch. And when you
Yes.
have a bad barrel, all of the apples that come out of it are spoiled.
I agree with you 100%. And with that, I will leave you for the other panelists. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Have a great night. Thank you for all your great commentary. Let's go down to Traffic Man. Final thoughts, my friend.
Yes, sir. I think that at the end of this live, we ended up on a very heavy subject, and but it is a subject that needs to be talked about. You know, the whole reason that I'm showing myself on camera is, I've been pulled over many times as somebody who is an automotive aficionado, a gearhead kind of a thing. So obviously, I've been pulled over many times because of that. However, there have been instances in my life. I brought up the one moment earlier, but there have been other instances where, as somebody obviously as a YT male, I've been pulled over, and because of the vehicle that I was driving, it was immediately decided that I was not who I am until the officer came up. As a matter of fact, recently, about 2 months ago, I was pulled over in my Charger, and the officer came up to the window and she audibly said the word, "Oh," but exactly. Um, I guess my final thoughts on top of that is, as somebody who was brought up in the 80s and 90s, um, there was this introduction of progressivism in the sense where, we all need to accept each other as who we are, regardless of anything. And what infuriates me the most is the messaging. The messaging just it did not seem to land. And I don't know what the solution is to making that messaging land, because we're all Americans. Like you and I are no,
Whatever the
or you
fuck
and I
that
are no
means.
different. Well, what I mean, we should be portrayed. You and I are no different. You know what I mean? That's my problem. And I don't, again, I don't know what the solution is at this point. And I wish that, I wish we could work to something better, because the shit needs to stop. So with that,
Rodney King
sir.
asked rhetorically, perhaps, and maybe not rhetorically, can't we all just get along? And unfortunately, the answer to that question seems to be no.
Correct. So, sir, I will end with that. Have a wonderful evening. Love
You
your
too,
lives.
man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
OG Nerd, final thoughts.
Um, I don't know where the answer lies. I don't know if there is an answer. I know that we need, we can't, as you said, we can't make laws to correct this, because the laws don't change how people feel. And as someone who grew up in a admittedly racist household, I did not adopt those viewpoints, because I was simultaneously attending multicultural schools. And that exposure, I think, helped me uh, to see a different viewpoint. And maybe that's the key. Maybe it's a key point for people to see the humanity in one another.
I agree 100%. I think, what did Mark Twain said? Travel is the enemy of prejudice, right? And he's talking about the same thing you're talking about. When you are in a diverse environment, and I am so grateful that I grew up in Washington Heights, New York. I'm so grateful that the first place I ever moved when we moved out of there was Elmhurst, Queens, because up until I was 9 years old, I didn't know the world was any different than the world that I saw. And the world that I saw was the United Nations all around me at all times, right? And you find out very, very quickly the most obvious thing: everybody's the same. All these fucking sounds that we use to identify ourselves, they don't make a difference, not in a real way. German, Irish, Italian, Filipino, Jamaican, blah, 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 blah. It don't matter. They're just sounds we make with our mouths. Yeah. Yeah. That's why you got a case of that jungle fever and married a black dude. But no, this is what it is. Like, I used to joke, like, because of my upbringing and when I first started getting involved with women physically, it was YT women. And people were like, what was that about? And I was like, well, when in Rome, do the Romans, right?
Exactly.
So excellent. Well, thank you as always for contributing to my live. I always appreciate your perspective, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you. Now off to do my live.
Yeah, take care. All right, Danny, last man standing. How you doing, buddy?
Well, you didn't put me to sleep tonight. I can tell
Oh, that's
you that.
good. That's good. I got that going for me.
Your volcano. When you went nuclear on.
Well, that was
I
not
was
quite
starting to doze
nuclear.
off.
That was on a scale of 1 to 10, that was about a 7.
Okay, well, when you threw a claymore out, or I woke. I was getting ready to start snoring, and I woke up when all that
Yeah,
was going on.
I do realize that I got very loud, so I apologize if I hurt anybody's
No. I
eardrums.
mean that you have to say what you got to say, because as I know well from you for the past 7 months that I've known you, that everybody has a trigger, and that was your trigger, and
Yeah.
I respect that, because I have a couple of them too that you have no idea what they are.
Sure.
And
Sure.
I hope that you never see that of me, that side of me, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
I'm not a nice person when it comes to that.
I
And
relate to that completely.
and I can be even though I'm not very strong anymore, and I'm not but words can hurt too, and I can be very hurtful at times. And I don't, but when I do say those words, I really mean it. And I ain't doing it by accident at the time.
Yep.
But anyway, I digress. I ain't going to ponder on that subject, because it's too bad it came out, and I hope that she has a little time to think about it, and maybe there'll be some reconciliation between the two of you down the road. You never
Nope.
know.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, so
I'm done.
anyway,
I'm done with her.
okay. Well, all right. She will never be your ex-wife number
Listen,
3.
there's some things. If it's like a regular disagreement, that's one thing. But when you reveal a certain part of your psychology to me that I
Right.
find completely repulsive, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you. I'm just, I can always hope for the best. That's typical of me. The humanity in me
And
is,
that's good. That's a good thing. I
and
just
I've
didn't
always
I just
had
didn't
that
want to
towards
string you
men.
along or be fake about it and be like, oh, maybe one day. Nah, fuck that. She's done.
I know. I'm not laughing at you. I'm
No, no,
laughing with you on
yeah,
this.
I get it. I get it.
I mean, I see the smile, so you're being
Yeah,
honest for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
So it's all good to me. But anyway, It was a heavy subject for the end, and as you well know, I grew up in a very mixed neighborhood in Council Bluffs at my first 9 years of life, and I think I told you about my friend Pedro and how I got my ass whipped all the time from walking home with him because my dad was a very racist SOB, and he was trying to make me the same way he was, and he accomplished my brother. He did that task, but I wasn't that person, and I would have never survived in the army being that type of person. Be honest with you,
I gotcha.
but
Hey, Danny,
looks
hold
like
hold that thought. Amy just said something interesting in the chat, so I
sure.
wanted to bring her up. So, Amy, what do you need me to teach you?
Just being done and not just never doing it again.
Oh, I'm really good at it. I've been doing it for half my life.
Uh,
Once I hit about 30, I decided that my peace of mind was one of the most important things to me, and anyone who disturbs my peace of mind has got to go. And
yeah.
normally I am not capricious about it. I don't have a hair trigger with regard to it in most cases. I will give someone a chance to course correct. But when you reveal to me that there's a racist part of your psychology, I don't feel the need to keep the
Oh,
conversation
no,
going,
yeah.
right?
That would be
So
a line draw for me.
exactly. So, but just in general, like, like my second ex-wife is one of my best friends. I love her to death. I will never love another woman more than I love her. We still talk all the time. We hang out a couple times a year for lunch or dinner or something like that. Text almost every day, get on the phone a couple times a month, blah, blah, blah. But she's my ex-wife because she wouldn't stop disturbing my peace.
Yeah.
And I gave her years of opportunities to course correct, and she couldn't.
Mm.
Doesn't make her a bad person. It's just who she is or was at that time. But anybody, including my family, I only talk to my uncle and his children. I don't talk to any other members of my family because they all disturb my peace. And
Gotcha.
that's just, that I don't believe in being selfish, but I believe in being self-prioritized because I cannot fill anybody's cup if my well is empty.
Yeah.
So I focus on me and my happiness, and my only rule that guides me is that nobody has to suffer in service of my happiness. Right? So as long as nobody suffers in service of my happiness, I am content to do whatever makes me happy. And I only surround myself with people that help me in that effort. So I have a handful of close friends that I've had in my life for decades. They are loving, they're caring, they're kind, they're supportive. They're all funny, which is very important. They all love to talk, which is very important. But none of them disturbs my peace. That doesn't mean we never disagree. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean we never argue, although we rarely argue. But it just means that I refuse to have anyone in my life that disturbs my peace. And it's a hard decision. It's not easy to do.
No.
But I know that my life is better off because I orient myself that way.
Mm.
So uh, I hope that gives you some insight into how you can pull that off if you choose to do it.
No, it does. I'm trying
All right,
trying to
excellent.
stay away from somebody right now. So.
Yeah, do it. Do it. Just decide that you're more important than whatever other thing is going on over there, And I know that when it comes, because again, I told you the paradigm that I have with my second ex-wife. It is, making the decision to remove someone from your life is a huge decision, and especially if you have a real relationship with that person. But
Yeah.
if someone's going to disturb my peace, I don't care who they are. there was a woman that I knew for 40 years. I met her when I was like 12 or 13 years old in junior high school. Loved her, spent time at her and her family's house all the time through junior high school and high school. Stayed in touch through the years, got together on Facebook, and then one day she puts up some racist shit on Facebook. And I thought there was a chance that maybe she didn't understand the implication of what she was posting. So I reached out to her on Facebook and I was like, do you understand what this means to me? What this post means to me and how offensive this is to me? And she doubled down on what she posted. So I blocked her and I'll never talk to her again. And it sucks. I love her, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to allow you to disturb my peace like that. So thank you for coming up. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you asked that question. And please come back. I'm here Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
All right, Danny. Yeah, so I just thought that was an interesting thing that she wrote, so I wanted to bring her up so we could talk about it. So what else is on your mind, my friend?
Oh, I was just telling you the story about Pedro and how my dad treated me about walking home from school. And I mean, I walked home from school with him for 4 years. And every time we went by a certain establishment, my dad was usually there, which was a bar. And by the time I got home, he was already drunk anyway. And I got a butt whipping with the razor strap for walking home with the black boy. And we were friends. I mean, you know, I never got a chance to tell my dad that Pedro got drafted in the Marine Corps when the year I got drafted in the Army. We were both in Vietnam at the same time, which I never saw him because he was in the Corps, and he never came home. And to think that the prejudices he had for that boy and the sacrifice that boy gave for our freedom, along with mine and yours and everybody else, it appalled me. And I never had the opportunity because my dad passed away in '87, and I happened to look it up because of the internet, and I was on Ancestry.com, so I said, I'm paying for it, might as well look. And I knew approximately what year, I knew what year he was born and everything, and where he was born at. He was born in the same hospital I was born in. And sure enough, he's in Arlington today. So it's a sad thing. I wish I could have told my. I'm going to tell my dad someday if I go there. I hope I don't go to hell because that's obviously where my dad is. But I figure I'm going to tell him one way or the other. I'm telling him right now if he's listening, and I'm glad I didn't
you
become
sparked
that
a
person.
memory. Yeah, and that's the important thing. That's your rebellion against your father includes that, and that's like me with my mother because my mother's a racist or was a racist, and part of my rebellion against her is that I am the opposite. But you just reminded me of an incident that I went through, which I actually didn't know about it until 30 years after the fact. So I was I befriended this other young boy. I guess we were 12 or 13 years old, and he brought me home one day to his place, and you know his mother was there, and we had dinner and the whole thing. And his father came home, and then at some point, you know, I think it was either him or his mother got in the car with me and drove me home. And he said when he came back home, his father said, never have that N-word in my house again. Right. And we were very good friends. And I didn't even really notice because luckily I was kind of popular in school. So I didn't notice that he had pulled away from me because of his father. But we reconnected on Facebook and he is a musician. Right now, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but there's this off-Broadway show called the Fab Four, which is a
Yes,
takeoff
I've
of the
heard
Fab
that.
Four, right?
Yeah.
He's the sound man. He's the sound engineer for that show, right? And it has some real heavy names as the musicians that play Beatles music. But anyway, he has a band. They play once in a while and all that. And when I was living on Long Island, he had a show, and I went to it, and he came out before the show one night, and he explained this whole story to me, and he felt so bad about it because, essentially he was robbed of a 30-year relationship with me. That's the way he saw it, right? And of course, I agree. Like, I thought he was a great guy when we were children, and I feel bad now. What's good is that my story has a happy ending, in that, we got back together, and, we still talk, and we were able to transcend his father's racism, but it did take decades away from us.
Oh yeah, and we moved away from Colorado to Colorado shortly after. I think I was going into fourth grade or something like that. My great grandmother passed away, and we were living with her, so we moved to Colorado, and I never got to see Pedro again, and that hurt because we were good friends. I really thought we were, and you know, and then for him to go into service and have that happen to him, and the same year, matter of
Yeah,
months difference, but the whole thing, it just was amazing.
yeah,
So I really just literally sat down and just cried for a little while looking at the computer
sure.
screen, you know. And
Yeah, there's
it
a
was many years later. I mean, I was, big difference in years
right,
later,
right,
but
right.
still.
No, and there's a poem, and I forget the whole poem, but the ending is something along the lines of, the saddest words are what could have been.
Right.
So I get that. Well, thank you as
Shoulda,
always,
coulda,
Danny.
woulda.
This was a really interesting live. I started off with topics, and I thought it was going to go in that direction, but I'm always happy when it veers off into something even more interesting. And even with my outburst, it for me it was still a good live, and I appreciate that you're always with me. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, to Trivial Pursuit.
Absolutely.
And until then, have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, folks, this was a wild ride. And, the good thing is that I discovered someone who disturbed my peace, and I removed her from my life. And after tonight, chances are I'll never think of her again. And that's fine. It happens like that. But, yeah, good live, good live. And I appreciate all the people that show up night after night, tap the screen for likes, gift, share, all that good stuff. And of course, the amazing people that come up on the panel and share their perspectives clearly, without equivocation. The live would not be the same with everybody that comes up here and contributes. So thank you, everyone, for that. And until we meet again, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.